Hello, my name is Pooja. Welcome to the Center's special episode of Around the World. In this program, we inform you about the news which enhances your understanding of global politics. We will discuss one such news in today's story. The 22nd summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization was held from 15th to 16th September 2022 in the Silk Road city, Samarkand. Samarkand is the capital of Uzbekistan. The heads of all 8 full-time member countries of SCO participated in this summit. Following the recent changes in the global politics, the summit has been a topic of discussion in global politics due to the participation of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Chinese President Xi Jinping, and Russian President Vladimir Putin. During this summit, the heads of some member countries met at the organizational level as well as the bilateral level. In this regard, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's bilateral talks with Russian President Putin and meeting with Turkish President Erdogan attracted special attention. Let us now understand that why the talks between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Vladimir Putin held during the SCO summit are attracting so much attention. At the same time, we will also try to know what are the implications of the meeting. It was the first meeting at a personal level between Prime Minister Modi and Russian President Putin after the war with Ukraine broke out. Since the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, Russia has not only faced economic sanctions imposed by the US and European nations, but has also been warned of attacks by NATO. In such crucial times, India has played the role of a true friend to Russia. India may have expressed concerns over Russia's aggressive activities, but India has always voted in Russia's favor or any proposal introduced against Russia. Prime Minister Modi appealed to Putin to stop any kind of war immediately during the talks. Prime Minister Modi termed the war as harmful to both humans and nature and suggested resolving the issue through mutual dialogue. In addition, the Prime Minister also expressed his gratitude to Putin for providing a safe corridor to the Indians during Russia-Ukraine war. President Putin responded humbly and agreed with Prime Minister Modi's war concerns. President Putin clarified that Ukraine does not believe in dialogue. Putin also stated that he was forced to wage a war on Ukraine as Ukraine constantly refrained from resolving the conflict by distancing itself from the dialogue forums. The kind of direct and spontaneous communication between India and Russia is not a new phenomenon. Significantly, a visa-free travel agreement is pending between India and Russia. President Putin expressed his desire to accelerate this work and get it done as soon as possible. In this regard, President Putin also made special mention of the cultural ties between India and Russia. During the talks with President Putin, Prime Minister Modi stressed the need for attention to the security and the trade of the 3F. 3F stands for food, fuel, and fertilizer. Let us try to understand the importance of the discussion of food, fuel, and fertilizer in these talks. Russia and Ukraine is known as the bread basket of Europe, and then they jointly export about 28% of the world's wheat. However, wheat production in Ukraine has been badly affected due to war and the migration of farmers. As a result, wheat importing countries from Ukraine such as Pakistan, Bangladesh, Egypt, Turkey, and Indonesia are facing a food crisis. India has also imposed restrictions on the export of wheat and broken rice as a precaution. India, on the other hand, is a huge importer of edible oil. India imports about 70% of sunflower oil from Ukraine and 20% sunflower oil from Russia. But due to the Ukrainian crisis, the price of edible oil in India increased significantly in the second quarter of 2022. Furthermore, there was a huge increase in natural gas and oil prices due to the Ukrainian crisis, and the oil crisis remained the main concern of the whole world. However, Russia is providing oil to India at a cheap price because Russia's economy is staggering and economic pressure is surmounting after the economic sanctions were imposed on Russia by the European countries. On the other hand, India has increased its oil imports from Russia as it had almost stopped importing oil from Iran. However, China is far ahead of India in terms of purchasing oil and gas from Russia. Recently, an agreement was signed between Russian gas company Gazprom and Chinese company CNPC. Under the agreement, both companies will transact in the Russian currency ruble and Chinese currency yuan instead of dollar. Obviously, China's strengthening economic ties with Russia will not be in India's interest. India will never want oil and natural gas to be the pivot of Russia-China economic relations. Moreover, Russia supplies most of India's fertilizer needs. According to the government data, India's fertilizer imports from Russia have increased to $1.03 billion in the first 4 months of fiscal 2022, from $773.54 million last year. It is worth noting that the bilateral talks between Narendra Modi and Putin are taking place at a time when India and Russia are moving towards a 3-year fertilizer agreement. Russia has been exporting fertilizers and chemical items to India continuously for the past several years. But India needs to sign such an agreement with Russia due to the increasing need for fertilizers. Apart from the meeting with Russian President Putin, Prime Minister Modi also held a crucial meeting with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Let us try to understand why the meeting between the two leaders is being considered cardinal. Actually, bilateral relations between India and Turkey were tense since India abrogated Article 370 from Jammu and Kashmir. Turkey has been supporting Pakistan on the Kashmir issue. Due to the abrogation of Article 370, Turkey openly criticized India in global forums and called India anti-Muslim. Pakistan also exploited Turkey's support, and even the then Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan and Turkish President Erdogan jointly addressed a council in Turkey on the Kashmir issue. In addition, Turkey had returned wheat exports by India, citing quality issues a few months ago. For these reasons, the meeting of Prime Minister Modi and Turkish President Erdogan without any prior planning remained a topic of discussion in the global corridors. Let us now also discuss some other aspects of the summit. Chinese President Xi Jinping and Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif were also present at the SCO summit held in Samarkand, but no bilateral talks were held between Prime Minister Modi and the other two leaders. It was the first foreign visit of the Chinese president after January 2020 or since the corona pandemic. Xi Jinping's visit was crucial for India-China relation in the wake of the Taiwan crisis and the confrontation with the Indian army in Ladakh. Recently, as the Indo-China armies had suddenly retreated from Ladakh, it was believed that Modi and Jinping would meet in Samarkand, but this meeting did not take place. However, the Chinese president conveyed best wishes to Prime Minister Modi for the upcoming SCO summit to be held in India in 2023. It remains to be seen what will be the stand of Pakistan regarding the SCO summit to be held in India in 2023. Will Pakistan participate in this summit or not? Now, we come to the next segment of the Sunday special episode of Around the World. In this segment, we will talk about the significant international news. The dispute between Lebanon and Israel over the disputed sea gas field has resurfaced again. Actually, Israel has started work on a plan to extract gas from the Kyrgyzstan gas field for becoming an alternative to Russian energy. Israel's move is being opposed by Lebanese President Michel Aoun has said that the ongoing negotiations on the Kyrgyzstan area, mediated by the United States, had reached the final stage. Hence, Israel's move is a breach of negotiations. Kyrgyzstan is a small gas field located in the eastern Mediterranean between Israel and Lebanon. After nearly 7 months into the war with Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin has announced to grant some concessions to Russian citizens. This concessional announcement covers civilians who have served in the armed forces and some civilian groups. They will be given limited freedom to move around and gather in groups. At the beginning of the war with Ukraine, the Russian president imposed various restrictions on its citizens. The justification behind these restrictions was to defend Russian territories, which Western countries want to destroy. After 2 months of deadlock, Amadou Ba has been appointed as the Prime Minister of Senegal, a West African country. Amadou Ba has previously served in the government as the Finance Minister. He was appointed by Senegal's President Macky Sall. With Amadou Ba's appointment, the post of Prime Minister has been restored in Senegal after almost 2 years. The post of Prime Minister was abolished in 2019. However, elections were held again for the post of Prime Minister 2 months ago, in which the ruling coalition of Sall lost its majority and could not form government again. Israel's Prime Minister Yair Lapid and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan met on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly. This is the first time since 2008 that the leaders of the two countries have held a one-on-one meeting. This meeting is being considered the next phase of the betterment of the relations between the two countries. Various issues including sharing of energy and intelligence were also discussed in this meeting. Notably, energy is the main pillar of relations between the two countries. Earlier, the relations between the two countries were not cordial for several years due to the Palestine issue. Let us now note down the question based on today's episode. Analyze India-Russia strategic relations with special reference to Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Thank you so much for watching.